Utah Jazz versus Detroit Pistons, the stage is set at Little Caesars Arena, where the surging Detroit Pistons, 5-2, 2-1 home, aim to extend their three-game win streak against a Utah Jazz squad, 3-4, 1-3 away, still searching for rhythm in the West. It's a matchup defined by confidence versus recalibration, Detroit climbing the Central Division standings behind its balanced youth core, while Utah leans on star power to regain its footing. With an 80.9% win probability tilting heavily toward the Pistons, this early season clash isn't just another interconference test. It's a litmus for which team's identity holds stronger, the Pistons' efficient structure or the Jazz's individual brilliance. Statistically, both teams mirror each other's offensive punch, Utah averaging 115.6 points per game to Detroit's 115.9. But efficiency paints a sharper contrast. The Pistons shoot 45.7% from the field and 34.4% from deep, while Utah sits slightly lower at 44.6% and 31.6%. Detroit's shot selection is steadier, translating into smoother spacing and rhythm through Cade Cunningham's control-heavy offense. Utah, by contrast, thrives on Lauri Markkanen's perimeter power and Keyonte George's playmaking bursts. The Jazz hit 83.7% from the line, notably higher than Detroit's 74.6%. But the Pistons counter with stronger rebounding and ball security, pulling down 47.6 boards per night to Utah's 49.6 while committing fewer turnovers. On defense, Detroit's rim protection and perimeter pressure stand out, averaging 7.3 steals and 7.3 blocks, the latter led by Isaiah Stewart's 2.3 per game, compared to Utah's 7.1 and 7.1 respectively. The defining clash lies between Detroit's collective discipline and Utah's star-centric momentum, structure versus shot creation in pure form. Momentum-wise, Detroit has found its rhythm. The Pistons have won 3 straight, including statement victories over Memphis, 114-106, and Dallas, 122-110, showcasing scoring versatility and late-game composure. Their offense has stabilized, averaging 118 points during this stretch with improved defensive closeouts. Utah, meanwhile, enters off a much-needed bounce-back against Boston, 105-103, after a string of tough losses, including to Charlotte and Phoenix. Their 3-4 start shows flashes of offensive promise, but inconsistency, particularly in defending pace-heavy teams, remains their hurdle. Detroit's recent ability to handle tempo shifts makes them the more settled side entering this matchup. The headliner battle features 2 contrasting stars. Markkanen's 31.1 points per game on 48% shooting anchors Utah's offense, blending high-volume scoring with 37.3% accuracy from deep and elite, 88.7% free throw shooting. He's the Jazz's stabilizer, smooth, poised, and capable of carrying an entire scoring load. Cunningham, Detroit's heartbeat, counters with 23.6 points, 9.6 assists, and near 50% efficiency inside the arc, orchestrating a balanced attack with deliberate pace and vision. His ability to create off-screens and manipulate defenses gives Detroit control even when shots aren't falling. Around them, Keyonte George's 8.1 assists and Jalen Duren's 9.9 rebounds amplify Utah's spacing challenges, both contributing to the interior versus perimeter duel that defines this game. It's a matchup of precision versus orchestration, rhythm versus read, and both stars will dictate the game's emotional and tactical pulse. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Pistons winner. Strategically, the Pistons' collective execution offers an edge. Their inside dominance through Duren and Stewart stretches Utah's thin front-court depth, especially with Walker Kessler sidelined. Detroit's guards thrive in transition, using turnovers to fuel rhythm, while the Jazz rely more on half-court isolation and perimeter pull-ups. Expect the Pistons to pressure passing lanes, forcing Utah's secondary creators to make quick reads, an area they've struggled with early in the season. Bench depth also tilts toward Detroit, with Duncan Robinson and Auser Thompson providing efficient spacing and energy. Utah's second unit, missing key shooting contributions, must find ways to maintain scoring balance. The Jazz will need Markkanen to erupt early to offset Detroit's rebounding edge and ball movement precision. In the end, Detroit's combination of balance, tempo control, and defensive stability looks set to extend their win streak. The Jazz have the firepower to stay close, but their reliance on individual scoring against a connected defense may fall short. Expect Cunningham's orchestration and Duren's interior presence to control tempo and glass. Prediction: Pistons 118, Jazz 110. Detroit's cohesion and defensive timing make the difference. Structure triumphs over streaks of isolation brilliance in a game that reaffirms the Pistons as one of the East's early season risers. Minnesota Timberwolves versus New York Knicks. New York rolls into this matchup with confidence and rhythm, defending Madison Square Garden with a purpose. The Knicks, sitting at 4-3 and second in the Atlantic, have begun to look like a team finding its stride behind an efficient offensive engine and a tightening defensive front. Minnesota, also 4-3 and third in the Northwest, brings firepower and balance of its own, but this road test arrives against a New York squad that's undefeated at home and backed by momentum. With a 64% edge in the matchup forecast, the Knicks are seen as favorites. But the Timberwolves' blend of scoring versatility and rebounding muscle makes this far from a formality. The stakes are early, but real. A tone-setting interconference clash between two teams testing their staying power. Statistically, this matchup tilts toward sharp contrasts in style. The Timberwolves average 110.9 points per game on a smooth 49.8% shooting clip, controlling the boards at 41.6 rebounds and handing out 25.3 assists. New York scores slightly fewer at 110.3 points, but does so with efficiency across layers, ranking higher in defensive conversion and late-game resilience. The Knicks' field goal rate of 43.5% isn't dazzling, yet their control of tempo and paint defense often dictates the rhythm of games. Minnesota's balanced scoring comes from Julius Randle's 26.0 points per game and Anthony Edwards' 25.7, supported by Rudy Gobert's 9.9 rebounds and Randle's 5.9 assists. For New York, Jalen Brunson headlines the scoring chart at 29.0 per night, paired with Karl Anthony Towns' 13.1 boards and a 5.6 assist average from Brunson. Statistically, the Knicks protect the ball better, share it more fluidly, and lean on a defense anchored by OG Anunoby's 2.4 steals and Towns' interior presence. The defining battle is clear: Minnesota's scoring precision and front-court strength against New York's rebounding control and guard-driven tempo. Momentum plays its part. The Timberwolves have won 3 of their last 5, including a commanding 125-109 victory over Brooklyn and a tight finish in Charlotte. Their 2 losses to Denver and the Lakers came by narrow margins, underscoring competitive consistency. The Knicks, also winners of 3 of their last 5, enter with back-to-back wins over Washington and Chicago, both showing offensive cohesion and clutch shot-making. New York's home floor confidence, 4-0 this season, contrasts with Minnesota's 3-1 road mark, setting up a classic test of composure and identity. Both teams are trending upward, but New York's rhythm appears slightly steadier, particularly in late-game sequences where Brunson and Hart orchestrate control. The headline duel centers on Jalen Brunson versus Julius Randle. Brunson's 29.0 points on 46.4% shooting, coupled with an 86.0% mark at the line, reflect surgical consistency. He dictates pace, probes defenses, and punishes switches. Randle, equally assertive, counters with 26.0 points, 7.1 rebounds, and 5.9 assists, while shooting 55.8% from the field. His inside-out scoring stretches New York's coverage and could exploit mismatches when Brunson orchestrates from the perimeter. Edwards' explosiveness and Gobert's rim presence complement Randle's versatility, while Towns' dual threat inside and out gives New York spacing few teams can match. This individual duel, control versus chaos, precision versus power, is the game's emotional and strategic centerpiece, shaping not only momentum, but also defining which team imposes its rhythm across all 4 quarters. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is New York winner. Tactically, Minnesota's edge lies in their interior rebounding and shot efficiency. Gobert's control of the paint could neutralize second-chance points, while Randle's mid-range rhythm and Edwards' isolation scoring keep defenses guessing. Yet the Knicks' structure is built for disruption, switching defenders, forcing low-percentage looks, and turning stops into fast break bursts. Anunoby's perimeter containment and Hart's rebounding from the wing will challenge Minnesota's spacing. Bench depth may tilt slightly to New York, whose second unit, including Landry Shamet and Josh Hart, provides consistent shooting and energy. Turnover management will be decisive. Minnesota averages 14.7 per game, while New York's steadier guard play limits giveaways. Expect both coaches to lean heavily on defensive rotations and late clock execution, where New York's half-court poise could prove the separator. Prediction: New York 118, Minnesota 111. The Knicks' balanced floor spacing, defensive discipline, and home court poise should hold off Minnesota's surging offense. Brunson's control and Towns' interior dominance combine for another statement win, as the Garden stays unbroken, for now. Miami Heat versus Denver Nuggets. 2 teams with contrasting identities collide at Ball Arena, where the Denver Nuggets, 4-2, 2-0 home, look to extend their winning streak against the visiting Miami Heat, 4-3, 2-3 away. Denver enters this clash 4th in the Western Conference, owning 67% win probability in the matchup outlook, while Miami sits 5th in the East and continues to shape its rhythm after a balanced start. Both clubs know the weight of this one early in the campaign. Denver seeks to protect its fortress and climb closer to the conference lead, while Miami aims to measure itself against a contender in a rematch-style statement test. The matchup sets up as a contrast in offensive rhythm and defensive resistance. Miami averages 124.5 points per game, shooting 49.6% from the field and 45.7% from beyond the arc, while Denver sits slightly higher at 125.0 points on a cleaner 51.8% field goal clip and 45.7% deep efficiency. The Nuggets edge Miami in rebounding, 45.7 to 36.0, and assists, 29.8 to 29.5, illustrating a more complete offensive flow built around ball movement and second-chance stability. Bam Adebayo leads Miami at 22.0 points and 9.0 rebounds per game, playing as both scorer and stabilizer, while Davion Mitchell's 7.5 assists define the Heat's pace. Denver answers with Jamal Murray's 24.2 points per game and Nikola Jokic's staggering 13.2 rebounds, 11.3 assists, and 2.2 steals, a stat line that reinforces how Denver's system flows through its center's orchestration. The Heat's defense has held opponents to tight shooting stretches but lacks Denver's rebounding dominance. Adebayo anchors the paint, supported by Andrew Wiggins' athletic contests, 0.8 blocks, and Drew Smith's perimeter activity, 1.7 steals. Denver's interior, led by Jokic and Peyton Watson's 1.2 blocks, has been tougher to penetrate, holding structure in rotations. Statistically, this game profiles as a strength versus strength test, Miami's perimeter efficiency and half-court discipline meeting Denver's inside-out facilitation and rebounding control. Recent form leans toward Denver. The Nuggets have won 4 of their last 5, topping Sacramento, Portland, New Orleans, Minnesota, and falling only once in a narrow shootout. Their offensive balance has been steady, eclipsing 120 points in each victory. Miami, however, carries momentum of its own, 3 straight wins against the Clippers, Lakers, and Hornets before this trip. Miami's recent 5-game stretch shows stronger scoring depth at over 125 points per game, though defensive lapses keep margins tight. Backcourt injuries to Tyler Herro and Terry Rozier test rotation stability, while Jamal Murray's game-time status could affect Denver's offensive rhythm. At the center is the clash between Adebayo and Jokic, 2 interior generals who control tempo in contrasting styles. Adebayo's 49% shooting and 9+ rebounds reflect steady aggression and mid-range poise, while Jokic reshapes pace from the post, hitting 57.6% from the field and 84.6% at the line with near triple-double output. Murray adds backcourt punch, shooting 49.1% overall with 34.2% from deep and near-perfect free throw execution at 95.7%. Against Miami's mix of guards led by Mitchell, 7.5 assists, 42.6% FG, and Norman Powell's scoring punch, 24.0 PPG, 47.7% FG, Denver's cohesion offers sharper balance. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Denver Nuggets winner. Tactically, Miami's challenge will be slowing Denver's transition offense and cutting off Jokic's facilitating angles. The Heat's perimeter shooting gives them a puncher's chance, especially if Powell and Jaime Jaquez Jr. maintain spacing efficiency above 45% from the field. But rebounding remains the defining pressure point. Denver's +10 margin in glass control could dictate tempo. Defensively, expect Miami to crowd passing lanes, forcing Jokic to score more directly. Denver, conversely, will look to exploit Miami's undersized rotations, creating mismatches through high post play and Gordon's slashing lanes. Bench depth and rhythm favor Denver. Even with limited minutes, Christian Braun, Bruce Brown, and Cameron Johnson have supplied spacing and defense, complementing Jokic's orchestration. Miami's rotation, stretched by injuries, relies on role fluidity. Wiggins, Fontencio, and Jovic offering positional versatility but inconsistent scoring support. Late-game reliability also tips toward Denver, whose shot profile and rebounding presence allow more control in final possessions. Final score: Denver Nuggets 124, Miami Heat 117. Denver's interior balance and ball movement should eventually wear down a short-handed Miami rotation. Expect Adebayo to battle fiercely, but Jokic's impact and Murray's perimeter control will create separation late. The Heat's shooting keeps it competitive, but Denver's efficiency in the paint and on the boards delivers the edge. Golden State Warriors versus Sacramento Kings. Golden State enters Sacramento as a 5-3 team eyeing a climb in the Pacific standings, sitting second behind the Lakers, while the 2-5 Kings fight to escape the division's basement. It's a matchup that already feels heavy with meaning. Golden State holds a 60.4% win probability, but the road setting at Golden One Center promises a volatile environment. Both teams are dealing with key injuries. Jimmy Butler and Zach LaVine listed as game-time decisions, yet the implications reach beyond early season form. The Warriors look to keep pace with the division's best. The Kings need to rediscover their rhythm before the gap widens further. Golden State averages 117.6 points per game to Sacramento's 116.3, but their stylistic contrast defines the night. The Warriors' precision offense thrives on spacing and shooting. 46.8% from the field, 38.0% from deep, and 85.1% at the line. Powered by Stephen Curry's 26.6 points and his surgical 48.6% shooting. They move the ball efficiently with 27.7 assists per game and limit turnovers to 9.1, a mark that underscores their discipline. Sacramento plays with heavier pace and interior focus, leaning on Levine's 27.4 points and Domantas Sabonis's inside presence, 14.2 rebounds, 14.5 points, and near 60% from the floor. The Kings shoot slightly better overall, 48.7%, but less effectively from three, 38.3%, and the stripe, 85.1%, where consistency has cost them late-game momentum. Defensively, the Warriors generate more steals, 9.1 versus 9.6, and slightly more blocks, 4.0 versus 3.6, while the Kings use their size to win glass battles, 38.8 rebounds per game. The central theme? Golden State's perimeter rhythm against Sacramento's paint-heavy grind, a true pace versus possession duel. The recent form tells two different stories. The Warriors have steadied after an erratic start, winning 3 of their last 5, including a high-scoring bounce-back over Milwaukee after a tough 114-109 loss to Indiana. They've rediscovered their defensive edge and three-point rhythm, outlasting the Clippers and Grizzlies in tight matchups. Their scoring balance is returning with multiple players, Butler, Kuminga, and Podziemski, supporting Curry's scoring load. Sacramento has lost 4 of its last 5, with close defeats to Denver, Chicago, and the Lakers exposing late-game lapses. Their lone win over Milwaukee showed their offensive potential, but inconsistency remains the theme. Strong starts often give way to sloppy finishes. Heading into tonight, the Kings appear hungry yet vulnerable, while Golden State carries poise and control. The spotlight falls on Stephen Curry and Zach LaVine, 2 elite scorers with contrasting styles. Curry drives Golden State with 26.6 points on 48.6% shooting, adding 7.1 rebounds and 1.6 steals through poised control and precision. LaVine answers with 27.4 points per game on 51.6% shooting, blending power and athletic flair to keep Chicago competitive. He's aggressive off the dribble and dangerous once in rhythm, but with defenses keying on him amid DeRozan's uneven form, efficiency will define his impact. Around them, Green's 6.1 assists and Sabonis's 14.2 rebounds shape the game. Green steering spacing and switches, Sabonis fighting to own the boards and limit Curry's transition bursts. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Golden State winner, strategically. Golden State's spacing and turnover control challenge Sacramento's defense. With Green and Curry orchestrating ball movement that stretches coverages, the Warriors thrive on forcing breakdowns. If Butler plays, his two-way steadiness boosts both their mid-range attack and perimeter defense. Sacramento must control tempo and use its rebounding edge to slow Golden State's pace. Sabonis and DeRozan need to manage the half-court with patience, while Schroeder's 6.9 assists and 1.6 steals must come with composure. Bench contributors, Monk and Eubanks can't afford efficiency dips against a disciplined Warriors second unit led by Moody and Podziemski. The tactical edge comes down to discipline. Golden State's perimeter control and shot selection against Sacramento's inside-out rhythm. X factors like Kuminga's energy on the boards and Schroeder's screen navigation could swing momentum in key stretches. When all metrics align, the Warriors' efficiency, control, and late-game poise outweigh Sacramento's individual firepower. Expect a high-scoring clash with shifts in rhythm. Sacramento striking early through LaVine and Sabonis, Golden State answering with spacing and tempo mastery. Ultimately, the Warriors' balance and experience should carry the night. Prediction: Golden State 122, Sacramento 114. The Warriors' offensive flow and defensive steadiness proved decisive, another step in their climb toward the top of the Pacific, while the Kings' search for cohesion continues.